All right, let's try this again. See if we can get Dave to come over to this one and finish this thing off. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Dave, if you're in this one, or someone tell Dave that I had to start a new video. It would not let me pick up on the last one, so we're doing it this way. Yes, Jeff Littman, this thing is on. Like I said, if Dave is on here, leave a message. Dave, I think we lost Dave. So let's see if we can get Dave in here. It would not be a Boats and Shows podcast if something didn't happen. So let's see if we can get Dave in here and get him to kind of finish this thing up. I'm sending him a message on Facebook right now. We'll see if he gets it. Thank you for everyone that tuned in and it's now tuning into this one. See if we can get this thing going again. All right.
I'm here, buddy. Are we back?
Story of my life. We're back.
All those viewers on the other one now have to transfer over to this one?
I'll add them both together. If you guys are on the other one, I'm leaving a comment on the other one right now to try to link it to this one. But we can obviously my bad.
Yeah, no big deal, man. We're easy like Sunday morning. So to continue what I was saying there, because actually I got a couple of hate texts just since it turned off, you know. Ferraris are not generally custom, and neither are Bugattis. Did you just have a Coors Light?
I had to go get one.
SOB. You're killing me. You know, Bugattis aren't custom either, man. They're exotics, right? And that's kind of what I was saying. If you want to see a custom, like a true custom build, you know, Andy Wheeler's build, the one I put up from Concept Marine, that orange Chiata, every single part on that boat is built for that boat, from the titanium calf plates and, you know, on the hardware. That's a one-off deal, man. That's for that guy because that's what he wanted. You know, if you want to talk about, honestly, my opinion, and you know, take it for what it's worth, it's a grain of salt. But if you want to know if you want to see the coolest stuff that's ever been done in the marine industry, you know, just go on down over to Prime Marine. We got a new hat, buddy. So, you know, Prime Marine, Mike Ramirez, Mike King, those guys can take any hull and they can take any boat and they will literally make it custom for that customer. And when you roll out of that place, I mean, you know, my dream deal would be to have Mike Ramirez build me a boat. Actually, if I can talk my wife into it, I'd like to put an LS into my 21 Chiata, and I'd like to have Prime Marine do it and put some spin on it. But that might take some more negotiating. So, but yeah, you know, as far as I think I was getting into why I believe Nordic is a custom manufacturer. Randy Davis was very smart when he went and picked up Thane. Thane is a tooler by trade, and he's not scared to, you know, to say, okay, you want this changed, we'll do it. You know, I remember, you know, their deck boats. Somebody goes, I want twin outboards on that. And you go to any manufacturer that builds deck boats with integrated swim steps, they're going to be like, no, we're not doing that. And Thane's answer is, yeah, sure, no problem. You know, and they cut them out, fill them in, and then they tool off that boat, and they got an insert for their mold. And now they got a twin outboard boat. Same thing with that 28SS. I mean, you want to talk about a pain in the ass to make that an outboard boat? And first guy go down there and they say, yeah, I want an outboard boat. Thane says, no problem. And they build it. And that's what's cool about Nordic. I mean, they're doing that 275 right now, and it's I went down and checked it out today, actually, and a couple other places today. We got some big announcements coming out tomorrow. But, you know, they're a custom manufacturer. They're not scared to throw tooling. They're not scared to throw different rigging in boats if you ask them to. And you know, that place is like a sewing machine. It just runs. I mean, they do everything, and it's badass. You know, there's a couple of them out there. You know, much to things digress. You know, that they tried something and it didn't work as great as they thought it would. And I'm not going to get into which ones those are, but you know, not every single boat is a freaking hit a home run and run around the bases twice boat. You know what I mean? But if you're not trying new stuff, then what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, what separates, this is gonna be kind of an ending question, but what separates you from other people in the business?
In business or in the marine business?
In the marine business.
If we're speaking about media outlets primarily, which would be my competitors, I've been an enthusiast first, and I started this all for fun. You know, I was posting on Hot Boat for fun, and I started River Days Place for fun, and it turned into a business out of necessity. And there's been some trials and tribulations there. You know, like a lot of the guys that I dealt with in the industry on the fun side when I was writing, you know, have a hard time grasping the fact that this is a business and this is how I pay for my, you know, family. This is what supports my kids.
Yeah.
You know, but I would say, you know, especially with media outlets, a lot of things, you know, we tell the truth. You know, if when we did our boat tests, you know, they were legit. You know, it was the most legit, accurate boat tests out there. You know, it wasn't the same old, oh, the gauges are laid out nicely. Oh, the boat ran some speed that no way in fucking hell it's ever going to run. You know what I mean? Like, we put a radar gun on that thing, and I got video of all of it. If anybody doubts anything, I'll show them the video, you know? And I will say that, you know, I mean, I've been out in people's boats, and they're like, what'd you think? And I'm like, well, could be better. You know, I mean, I'm not scared to tell the truth with things like that, even though sometimes it does, you know, obviously cause problems. But I personally won't bend integrity for money. You know, I don't think it's worth it. I think that if you lose your integrity, if you lose people's faith in what you believe in, then what you have is nothing. You know what I mean? And I think it's a short path to failure. And I'm not going to pick on any other media outlets out there that do this stuff. And there's only a few left that do it anyways. But, you know, I bought a boat based off a magazine article. I bought a boat literally based off a Hot Boat magazine article. And me and my dad bought it. It was a 1998 22 Nordic. And it was beautiful. And then the test said, you know, it ran on the bubble and it ran this and it ran that. And we pretty much bought it just because it was like, dude, we sat in it at the boat show, and it was like, and I'm showing them, we're reading the thing. It was like the cover boat on the magazine, and you know, this is badass, you know. And shit, we paid the money, we got the boat, and that goddamn, and since things took over, they fixed that boat, by the way, just so everybody knows. But that goddamn boat porpoised so fucking bad, it was barely drivable. I mean, it was literally barely drivable, right? And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, maybe he's, you know, wrong prop or something. Try all these different props. We couldn't get it working right, and we were stupid enough that we ordered. You know, we took the 310 horse 454 out of it and put a 385 in it, which like compounded the problem, right? And I remember going to Nordic, you know, and Lonnie Fluent worked there, and then Orville was still there. And I towed the boat up there. I'm like, dude, this thing's fucked up, man. Like, it doesn't run. And Orville didn't even know why I was there, but he saw the boat pull up in the parking lot. He goes, "That boat doesn't porpoise." And I said, "Well, I guess I know why you're here. You know why I'm here." Like, and Lonnie goes, "Oh, you know, Dave." I said, "Let's go down to the lake, man. You show me how to drive it." And obviously, they would never do that. You know what I mean? And I actually told the truth about that boat on Hot Boat. You know, everyone's like, "What do you think of your boat?" I said, "I think it sucks, dude. It porpoises, but it's ours now." And so we fixed it. I ended up making a whale tail for the outdrive. You know, we're machinists, so we can do that. And we got it fixed and we got it working. But Nordic, this is the previous Nordic, I want to clarify that Nordic was so pissed off at me about that they would not sell me parts for that boat. I used to have to go to Doug at Alco to order parts for my own freaking boat because Nordic wouldn't sell them to me because I told the truth about a boat online. You know, it's like, come on, man, really? You know, if you know the boat sucks, don't put it out. Fix it, you know? So I would say that's the main difference between me and the media outlets. You know, I mean, and I don't want to pick on Chris, but goddamn, the guy never even had a boat. You know, Brett Bain, their main writer, the guy hates boats. Ask him, he'll tell you. I hate boats, and he's the guy writing the articles. You know, it's like, come on, dude. Ray's an enthusiast. He's an enthusiast. He used to race for Levy Craft, and he's the best thing that ever happened for the magazine. I can tell you that because he actually got it. I think he revived it. His energy and his passion for boating really revived that, you know, and I think actually his energy revived Chris's energy as well. You know, Chris is a hell of a publisher. He's a great publisher, but he's not a powerboater. You know what I mean? You know, his family was huge into powerboating back in the day, but he personally really wasn't. He bought a deck boat a while back, so I think it might have changed now. But, you know, for me, growing up on Parker, riding in boats, driving boats, and having friends in the industry, and, you know, I'm so fat and lazy nowadays, I don't work on them. But, you know, back in the day, you know, wrenching on boats and things like that. And, you know, we're not scared. If you go to the back of my Chiata, there's a billet whale tail and small billet cow plates. You know, I made all that. When I got this boat, it had a minor handling issue, and we fixed it. You know what I mean? I didn't go take it all over the world to try to have somebody else fix it. I fixed it. You know, and there's not too many people in this industry from the coverage part of the industry that would do that. You know, guys like Bob Teague, the guys that test, guys like Alexi, you know, well, shit, yeah, they own giant marine shops, and they all have machine shops, and they can do it, but they're not the guys that are the media outlets either. So, you know, they just kind of work for
them. What would you say to someone that is lurking on River Dave's place, but maybe hasn't joined yet?
You know, I get it, dude. It's intimidating. There's a lot of that, you know, the circle of clowns, I guess you'd say, and a lot of those guys have been on there for 8 or 10 years, and they all know each other, and I mean, they talk to each other like old family, but when I say family, I mean sometimes family's dysfunctional as well. You know, I mean, I love my community. I honestly, I can say this, right? I'm on more forums than probably anybody you know, right? Car forums, off-road forums, you know, pool playing forums, you name it, and I'm not scared to go on a forum and be like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? Because I own a freaking forum. But I've also seen on forums, you know, like when I joined a pool playing forum, those guys don't know me. You know, they don't know anything about River Dave's place or the fact that I own a forum. And I went on there and I was just being my normal self, and the group kind of, you know, circled the wagons a little bit. And I was like, dude, what the fuck, you know? And I can see that because a lot of these guys talk every single day, and it is kind of that little group, right? Well, by little, it's thousands of people, but you know, there's probably 300 or 400 power posters that are on there every single day. And, you know, I get it. It's intimidating, but I think that people would find that River Dave's place as a community is more welcoming than most other forums. You know, if you go on there and you post like, hey, you know, this is where we boat and this is what we do, you know, people are pretty receptive to that. You know, if you go on there and you're like trying to start crap with some other member in the first post, you know, yeah, that's probably not going to go over, you know, so well. But I don't, you know, to me, it doesn't matter whether they join and post or they just lurk. You know, I can see the numbers both ways. You know, obviously, if my numbers are at 96,000 per month right now, you know, our actual hard numbers, I don't have them in front of me, but I want to say the last I checked, it was like 17,000 members. You know, so it's almost like a 5 to 6 to 1 ratio of lurkers to posters, you know, or members. Yeah. Lurkers to posters is probably more like 10 to 1 or more, you know. So, you know, I meet them all the time. I really do. You know, it's funny at Desert Storm and stuff. A guy will walk up to buy a hat, and the wife will walk up. And, you know, I've heard the same thing probably 500 times, you know. My husband sits on his iPad every single night. He won't even pay attention to me because his goddamn website, you know, and I'm like, dude, I don't know, you know. But, I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't be scared to join it, you know. And I think it's a pretty welcoming community. I think, you know, a lot of people have a lot of perceptions about communities. And I think a lot of those perceptions don't really apply to my website. RDP has done so much good for so many people. I got so many stories of people it's helped and careers that have been furthered because of it. Even my own story, man. My youngest daughter, Summer, the top of her head blew up when she was a baby, like a big swollen thing, and it could have been meningitis, which is like a death sentence, right? And so we were completely freaked out, and babies in the ambulance. It's going to the children's hospital in Phoenix and all this other stuff. And one of my members goes, "Hey man, I'm on the board of the children's hospital. When you arrive there, it's like you're in good hands, right?" And I showed up there, and we showed up there. I mean, the response that we received just because we're RDP members at that hospital was it really was one of the first times, because I don't usually use it for things like that, you know what I mean? But it was one of the first times that I saw the power of RDP and the good it can do, you know what I mean? So
you telling that story, like, legit, I just got the chills, because I mean, that's really what it is. You've had a huge part in building this community around you. And that's really what it is. It's community. It's Stacy just said, the RDP family.
yeah.
And, these are friends that, you might only see them once or twice a year, but they become family.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these guys, I've been talking to them for so long, that, stuff, Stacy always, she's in the other room right now, but she always laughs because she'll meet somebody at a boat show or Desert Storm or something. They're coming out to buy clothing, and she'll say, "Oh, last week and they're like, 'Oh yeah, you were in Vegas, or you were over here,' and this, that, and the other," because it's already online. And she says it kind of spooks her a little bit sometimes because people know so much about us. But I know a lot of these guys kind of the same way. I mean, and there's literally hundreds of posters on there, and I can tell you so much about their lives and trials and tribulations, both highs and lows. We've had a few members lose children over the years that were just unfortunate circumstances, and we've had a few members lose wives. And then obviously there's members where there's, newborns coming into the world, and people's kids' first boat, there's a guy named Phil Velto. He doesn't post too much anymore, but PVHCA. And I think it's Becky's son, or, it's related to Phil somehow, but he got his first boat and he was excited about it. He's mechanically inclined, and he posted on RDP, and he has literally gone through this boat from bottom to top and done every single thing himself. He recently sold it, got a better boat now, but to watch that is really pretty cool, to watch somebody go from nothing to making it his own and making it run tip top, and then going and graduating to the next boat and the next boat and the next boat, So that's, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff. So
it is really cool. And I gotta give a shout out to, you and Stacy and RDP, because a little story is right after I did my last show with Tom, which was actually a few weeks back now. Dave texted me seconds after the show ended and said, "I love what you're doing. I'm in." And so I got to give kind of a shout out to you for believing in what I'm doing and, kind of latching onto it and helping me. Every conversation we've had has been, it's uplifted me and it's helped me. It's inspired me and made my brain work in different ways, which is what I need right now.
Okay.
And so I got to give a shout out to you and to Stacy and, the whole family. I'm not much of a poster so far on the forum. I'm getting there, but I've been a long time lurker, and it's cool to be a part of, this movement, I would call it. So
well, it's only going to get bigger and better, man. I mean, that's the point, right? So
yeah.
Any other good questions from the members, or you want to hit one more hard topic before we call it a night? Or since we started this thing
let's
are
give you.
Are we doing part 2 right now already, or what are we doing?
No, let's schedule part 2. When do you want to do part 2? So those that are listening, they can kind of know where to find the show, and how to be a part of it for part 2. Because obviously, I'm gonna have to go back through 600 comments on the first show and pick out all the questions.
Is this really that many comments? I can't see anything.
600 comments.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Any day works for me. I'm easy like Sunday morning, like I said. Wednesdays at 7. What day is today? Thursday?
Today's Tuesday. Yeah.
So this is part of the problem of running RDP. It doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday or Tuesday. It's all the same day. Dude, I don't care. Tuesday, Wednesday. Give it about a week to digest and kind of formulate whatever things you want. Ask them if they got anybody have a hard question for me. I mean, here's your chance, man. You got me off guard.
This is the last question of the night of part 1.
Sure. I'm gonna finish up my RDP hat.
Who do you hate the most? That's the first one that came through. Who do you hate the most?
Dude, I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. I know grads is a pain in the ass, and that's who they're expecting, I'm going to say. And I'm going to tell you something about grads. He's a troll. He loves to get a rise out of people. he's not a bad. He's a Democrat, so he's mentally ill. But you know, he's not a bad guy, man. If you need help or if you ever need assistance with anything, he's the first guy that'd help you. You know, when he found out I was buying my wife an iPad for her birthday, and you know, he's got some connection to Apple, and he's like, Dave, let me get you the iPad for you. You know, and way cheaper. He didn't have to do that. You know, and this guy had ban off my forum like literally every other week. You know, so I would have gone with a tougher question than that, but
Well, we'll save the tough questions for part 2.
sure.
Let's shoot for today's Tuesday, but let's shoot for next Wednesday for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that are watching, next Wednesday, same time, same place, you'll find part 2. And you can still, if you guys have questions for Dave, add them in the comments of this show, add them in the comments of part 1 of this show, and I'll write them down. So
How do I get this off of Facebook and onto my website? Because I know that was the big request I had on my forum.
I will. I'll pull it off right now, and then we can talk after this what format you want it in or whatever, and it can go right to your website.
Just put it on YouTube.
Okay.
Or Vimeo. Any of the hosting services is fine by me.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
All right. Thanks so much, Jake.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been fun. See you next week.
See you, bud. Bye, guys.
All right.